Hey, it's been a while, but welcome to another unboxing video. Um, I would say this should be a surprise to you, and this would be the hint of I'm wearing my Rowing Blazers SKX5 collaboration, um, and the fact that there's a colorful dial should give you match what's going to happen in here, but the title of the video I probably already told you. And anyways, that's what I got on wrist right now. And we'll get into this. And this is the new Zodiac skeleton movement. I think it's called the 615 movement. Um, and they call this the what do you call it? Well, people have been calling it initially like the rainbow skeleton, but I think officially from Zodiac, it's called the Super Chroma. It has that uh, really colorful rainbow. Well, it's not really a true rainbow. It doesn't have all the colors of the rainbow in it, but it has a very colorful dial. That kind of they call ombre effect, which is basically a fancy word for like a blend or a gradation of some sort. So the colors go from one to another, and so forth. And um, the reference number is right here. I think it's ZO is Z09298. I always never really sure if this is ZO or Z0 on the reference number. I think I've been using 0 as the this if it's a letter or a number. I've been using 0 on my own references. Anyways, let's go into it. Comes in a very unassuming box, and I'd like to thank Watch Gauge for this. They did not provide it. I did buy it, and so they're a great place to get Zodiac watches. I get my NTH watches from there. It's not a paid promotion. They didn't pay me to say nothing, but I've had a customer, retailer, or buyer or seller relationship with them for some time, and it's a good place to go get stuff in the United States. Anyways, let's get into it. Pop that off, and you can't see it all, but I have a new kind of setup on my desk. It's the other one was okay, but it felt a little cramped. This space is actually deeper, about at least double, and so I just wanted more space, and we'll see how that goes. Should be better. Pop that open. I think the box itself is pretty typical Zodiac, and this I love how I think a lot of times Zodiac kind of shows off its the theme of the what's going inside the watch by a cover around it. Like I think obviously this is a skeletonized movement. You can see there's like a rainbow effect, and I'm sure down here is just instructions. I would assume a warranty card too. Maybe it's in the box. This is yeah, just the instructions. A little bit different than I recall it being before. And I don't remember if my last Zodiac that I have, which is kind of a little bit older model, had a drawer like this, but whatever. Came here for this. So yeah, like I remember some of their special like GMT watches that had like a maybe like a kind of a world map design on it. I think there was like a special like kind of a retro, and I guess they call it the 90s kind of design that was I think was it a Worn and Wound exclusive? It had these really 90s color theme and graphics, and the cover was like that. So this is what you should suspect from the watch. And here we go. Da 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 da. Did I do drum rolls? Yeah, that's a TGV thing. And this box is, I'm pretty sure it's different. I remember it popping open like this, but boom. It's kind of seems a little bit more luxurious in a way. There we go. Right, let's get into this a little closer. Move this up Sorry about the reflection. Let's angle this differently. Boom. And I don't see a warranty card, but I just assume. Huh, it's kind of weird. You would think they had it in here somewhere. Precautions, bracelet adjusting, English. I guess this is it tells you about the limited warranty. It's not actually a card, I guess, but whatever. Sorry. Here we go. And we're going to do something here so I can see it better through the camera. Sapphire crystal. Well, it better be. I think this is, but usually their bezel insert is a mineral. And I think of this, say that it says like the super chroma bezel is a K1 mineral crystal. Yeah, it kind of still baffles me if they can do this and a lot of other companies can do sapphire. Why don't they do it? I think there's a different philosophy in the way that that particular material, at least used in the bezel, will hold up over certain abuses. I guess sapphire is supposedly better at scratches, but it can crack. Similarly to what people say about ceramic, it's actually pretty scratch resistant, resilient, but it can crack. However, mineral crystal will probably scratch, but it is probably less likely to crack. I don't know. But to me, something that looks crystal or glass-like seems kind of prone to, it might be prone to cracking if you give it enough force, right? And let's pop this open if I can. Or is it stuck together with tape? But this is, come on, focus. There we go. I would remove this, but this is where a point where I need to decide if I'm actually going to keep this, or do you think I'm going to turn it back? Because I don't want to start unpeeling things if I think I might possibly not keep it. We'll see. I have to see this in the metal for one thing, but you can see the skeletonized movement. Just get my finger out of the way. In terms of, I think, performance, it's pretty similar to the previous Zodiac Super Seawolves, whatever they were using, the STP movements. It's still an STP, fossil movement, and that's considered in-house because these guys are owned by Fossil Group. But this is, I believe, a brand new movement that they developed for this, and obviously it's decorated and such. The movement has like a blackened look to it. You can see what remains of the skeletonized movement. Come on, focus. Sorry about I got back up just slightly. And if I could open this up, but I can't because I think it's sealed in there. Where is it? Well, let me back this out. There you go. Sorry about that. At least that opens it up a little bit to bring in some more light, as opposed to I held it back too, where the light is a little bit more in front of me instead of a little bit on top or slightly behind. Let me try to zoom into that too. So you got a blued rotor, which is different. It's kind of nice. And then you can see the super chroma effect is still applied to the outer edge around the movement, which is kind of a nice little bit of detail there to match the front. flip that rotor back. See the rest of it. Looks pretty good. And I wonder if I can peel this. Would this be an issue? Because I really have to see the watch itself. Hopefully, let's put this to the side carefully. You need to be able to see this clearly. Everything's aligned. Yes. They generally have pretty good bezel action. Not a lot of play at all. Just enough resistance. Clicky. I mean, I wouldn't call it black play. It's just, if there's any back play, it's just settling into position. That looks good. Let's see if I can undo this. Give it a wind. And that's cool. You can see the mainspring down here. Technically, that's kind of a power reserve indicator. It won't tell you necessarily exactly how much you have left, approximately, but at least you can tell how, if it's wound up or not. Okay, come on, wind. There you go. And let's see, this popped out. There should not be a ghost position because this hand's in a better position. Let's see, just two positions. This should feel smooth. There you go. One, two, three. Should be good enough. You can see the spring getting tighter, right? It was all kind of loosened up, and now it's really tightened down. So leave it at that. That should be good. See it beating away. You know, the trick with the skeleton dial is that there could be so much. You want to see the movement and kind of see through it, and yet at the same time that can cause legibility issues sometimes, depending how it's designed. I think for this one, overall, it should be pretty legible because the movement is darkened, so that, you know, it's not like a bright silver, which could be very reflective in that sense. And also the hands themselves, I mean, obviously the yellow hand for the minute sticks out. The seconds runs on the outside. Got a little blue tip that's kind of neat. And then, yeah, perhaps the hour hand, because it's, I guess it looks kind of like high polish, but it might be slightly blackened too. But at least the double loom on it kind of signifies its position as well. So I think for most angles and viewing situations, it's not going to be hard to read. And see if I can get this piece over wrist, see? Back out a little bit. And this should pretty much wear just like my other Super ZO53, which is, yeah, and which wears pretty great actually. And I really like this bracelet. It has the stretching system on the clasp on both sides, and it's good quality. I don't know, just been on this thing for adding some color into my collection, such as this, but this is a bit more subtle considering. But this could go with a lot of things. I think what's I noticed is that in the photos, they tend to make these areas between this and that look like there's yellow kind of fitted in there somehow, but to my eyes, I'm not really picking that up. If it is, it's extremely light. And I would say, the only thing I would say is that the transition from here to there is fine. And actually, this is not too bad. I can see blue going into green. But what is kind of weird is this part. If you're going to do it with a more natural blend, color-wise, I think this should have been like a bit of more green to a yellow to an orange and then to a red to this magenta, and then obviously the purple to blue and so forth and back around. So yeah, I think if you wanted to do the full spectrum and a more natural blend from color to color, I believe green to yellow to an orange to a red and then to this kind of magenta-ish color might have made more sense. But I kind of been taking this as like kind of like if you're into like digital art, even talking about like computer or monitor systems, like it's run, colors are kind of created through RGB, red, green, and blue. So technically this kind of like a red, green, and blue kind of motif to create a color, at least through digital photos or monitors or something like that. Anyways, I gotta pop that crown back. I gotta remember that. Let's do that. Oh, the case back. I think likely I probably will keep this. It's a pretty limited run, I think. There should be a limited edition number on here. Huh, that's weird. I would think that there should be. 29. Interesting. I thought they said there was there should be a limited edition number on this thing. 23099. I don't know. Anyways, there we go. This is the unboxing. Not much else to say about it right now. I will try to sit on this or look at this for a little bit longer and just give my final judgment whether I'm actually going to keep this or send it back. Is it worth? Do I really see myself wearing this or not? But it's pretty cool. It's different. It's definitely different enough from my Super Seaboard 53 to have both in the collection. This would be my third if I decide to keep it, and if I don't, then we shall see. But at least you can see the logo is printed on the dial. I'm sorry, on the crystal, and it actually lines up. I was kind of concerned that it would be like off, not or at least off this way and off axis, but from what I can tell, it seems to be perpendicular and centered, so that's good. And that's pretty much it, I guess. Stay tuned. If I have more and I'm keeping this, you should definitely see more and more clearly after I've removed all this, sized it, get it in some better natural light shots and so forth. So thanks for checking this out, and see you next time. Hey, so as you can see, actually I ended up deciding on to keep it and I sized the bracelet. So it's unwrapped. So let's just get a better, quicker look at this. Oh, not quicker look. better look, a quick better look at this with all the wrappings off. And there we go. And to show you on my wrist, it was pretty easy to size up since I knew what my other Super Seawolf with the same bracelet should be at, how many links to take out. And I generally will put this on, by the way, it's a nice taper. I will make this a little bit, just a tiny bit more, not as loose, I guess, because they have this excellent stretch system on both sides. Actually, I can't see if I can probably block your hand, my arm. But you can see it stretches right there and in this spot, which is nice. So it should be pretty comfortable. And this wears about right on wrist. There we go. On my, this is a 40mm watch, and this is on my 7-inch wrist, and or actually it's just under, but close enough to be considered basically 7. I'd say 6.9. And I was thinking about it. I said, you know, this would be a cool summer watch, nice and bright. Maybe get something bright to match as a pairing. NATO, probably a rubber strap of some sort. Got some ideas what to do. And just as a quick comparison with my other Super Seawolf here, they both have the same sequential photo butterfly clasp, and this is actually pretty good. It's pretty relatively slim. Doesn't, the stuff pokes into my wrist at least. And real quickly, at least in the back, this is a solid case back versus, you can see obviously it's a display, so that's the difference. And I think because of that, this watch is ever so slightly thicker. I think you can sort of, can you tell? If it is, it's just slightly. I don't know, it's very close. But I think this is ever so slightly thicker. Generally, that's the case when you're going to go with a display case back. Otherwise, the bracelet is basically the same. I'd say the finishing is different on the case itself. I noticed from the videos, and I can confirm this now, that there's more brushing. This is basically an all brush case versus this has some high polish on the tops of the lugs, but the sides are vertically brushed, similar to this. But this is definitely brushed down the lugs this way, and this is high polished all the way through to the tip around here too. So that's the two differences between those in terms of the case. And I guess it works because this is a more subdued variant. There's definitely brighter colors, but I like this one because it wasn't super bright. I kind of went almost exact opposite here. Very bright, because that's what Zodiac's kind of known for, is to do those bright and interesting colorways, I think. And this is definitely something of interest, even though you may not necessarily like it. I think it's different and interesting. And besides the obvious difference in the color of the bezel, the design of the bezel itself, you know, the markers are basically the same. You can see differences in the dial. This one is obviously skeletonized and has a different movement than was in here. This is a no date movement as well. As you can see, there is no ghost position, as I may have mentioned earlier. The outside of this, I guess, chapter ring, right, is white with black print, and this is actually, it looks kind of white here, but it's actually silver. So it's a bit brighter actually than this. And then you can barely tell in the camera, but you see it in real life. This is has a bit more of a sheen, and it definitely looks silver to my eyes. and then the rest of it's pretty different too. Obviously, the logo, we'll get into that later. The dial itself, skeletonized, solid, dark blue. The indexes are not even the same. These are more square and a little bit sharper, as you can see on this one, where they're not all square or rectangular like this, but additionally, besides the round pips or indexes over here, the ones at the cardinal points, these four are a bit more rounded as well. And they kind of, you can see here, it kind of goes into the chaptering a little bit. You can see how it sort of sits above. I mean, this is applied too, but it doesn't go into it. So that's a little bit different. So I'd say the handsets also are different. Besides them actually being, this one being a little bit more, I think like this one feels a bit more squared off at the ends, a little bit sharper, and even around the loom fill area looks sharper. Versus here, you can kind of see it's a little bit more rounded, ever so slightly, and I think the way the cutouts, I guess, around the loom is ever so slightly more rounded than this. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that this hour hand or minute hand is longer than this one. You can see how it reaches more towards the chaptering, and this one is a little bit short of that, but just kind of line up with the edge of that date window. And it's my belief that possibly the hour hand might be ever so slightly longer as well, potentially. That is not as noticeable to me, but I think it might be. The running seconds hand is also different. You see, it's also not as long. This one reaches to the edge of the white chaptering, versus this one, the tip, it goes right past it to the, it doesn't go all the way out to the edge. I don't think you can touch it, but you can definitely see that the loom pip one here, this rectangular one, and the pointer at the end, it does extend quite a bit more out than this one. And other than that, the verbiage on the face of the dial, this is obviously printed on with the applied logo at the the 12. This one, not much verbiage, kept it clean. You just want to show off that movement, but you do retain the Zodiac logo, and it is printed on the dial on the underside, as you can see. And you look at the approximate scale, and this might be ever so slightly smaller than this one, at least the Zodiac text. But other than that, like how it sits in its place on the dial, how high up, I guess. This one's just right under the marker, as you can see. And the way this one lines up, even though it's on the glass or the sapphire, it is visually, when you look directly on, kind of just below that 12 o'clock marker as well, like this. And that's pretty much the comparisons and the differences between at least the Super Seawolf 53 and this. I think these are still probably closer related than any of the other Seawolf variants. Super Seawolves, like the other one that I had with the, I guess you would call that the skin diver model, but I think they all have the same water resistance, but the ones with the triangular markers, it's different. It looks a little bit more vintage, I guess. And then there's another one that's I guess I might call it the professional. It has more of a paddle handset. This is different dial and indexes as well, and I think at least the professional ones, which are the newest ones, they are at 42 millimeters. Though I think the previous ones, before they were professional, those were maybe 40 millimeters. Could be wrong, but anyways, these two are basically pretty much more related in terms of the hand style, Well, the dial is different, but the has an outer minute track or seconds track, depending on how you see it. And I think across the range, pretty much all the Zodiac share a similar bezel design, but you know how it's colored might be different between the models. And that's it for comparison. It's not a review, just FYI. I just got this, so too early to really review. It's just an extended unboxing, and just wanted to show it to you after I've unwrapped it and decided to probably keep it. And we're not probably gonna have to, at least for now. And we'll see how this gets along. Oh, and lastly, I don't think I mentioned it earlier. This is a limited edition of 182 pieces, if I'm not mistaken. But I thought it was numbered somewhere, but I guess not. But just know that worldwide, there's only 182 of this example. They're kind of distributed in different allotments between, I guess, authorized dealers that are selling these. So I think Watch Gauge has 10. Some place in the UK, I forgot. I saw a video on them. They have only 2. Who else might have it? I think Exquisite Timepieces might be another seller. Maybe Toppers. I'm pretty sure they also sell Zodiac watches. They might have a certain allotment as well. So that's how I think it's distributed. And I'm not sure they're all out, or maybe just a few stragglers in production might come out later. But as a total, it should be 182. And apparently they're not numbered, but no big deal. And I think 182 kind of relates to the year that it was the brand, 1882, but they didn't go with 1,882 versions of this, just 182. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's the limited number of production of these. So that's it. This is not a watch for everyone. I think obviously if it's not into skeletonized and or bright colors and multiples of them, then yeah, I get that. But I think this could be a fun piece, and I think accessorized with the right strap. I mean, I love the bracelet actually. It's got a nice taper, and I like the stretch in here, and it just folds over nice and clean, and it's not that intrusive on the wrist either. It doesn't bulge out or poke the back of the wrist. But this, you know, to definitely use a different strap just to play on the colors. Probably maybe a nice bright yellow, green, blue, and maybe something with multiple colors to match as well in some way. And you do have quick release spring bars, as you can see, and so that'll make at least taking it off easier. Putting something on, well, you gotta be careful to, you know, work a spring bar and traditional spring bars into the between the lugs, but you know, no big deal. It can be done. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Windup's coming up just a few days, so I'm excited to be there. Don't know which watch I'm going to wear. One would say something like this would be great because Zodiac's going to be there. Maybe. I might have to bring multiples. I don't know. We'll see. Don't want to bring too much, but I'm having a hard time deciding which ones to bring. But you shall see when that day comes. I'm going to try to do some recordings, and hopefully I'll meet some of the other content creators for watches out there. Bumped into Random Rob last time, and I think Max from Watch Crunch. Maybe I don't know anyone else from this crew is going to be there. Mark from Average Bros should be up there again. Long Island Watch is going to be there. Obviously, Mark from that brand and company and his watches. Who else? One Wound Guys, and probably some others. So it'll be exciting to see, and hopefully just get to bump into him and say hi and do a quick chat, and maybe hopefully I can record a little something, just a brief like what you're wearing, and I'm trying to come up with like an alternate question just to throw in some something interesting, maybe not necessarily watch related, but nonetheless, just talks with fellow watch enthusiasts. That's it. Thanks, and see you next time.